Hey students, hope you're staying cool. It's pretty hot here. So I wanted to start the first video in this series. Again, we're studying and doing short devotionals on the Passion of Jesus Christ, why Jesus came and died. It's based on this book here. And so uh, the first reason why Jesus came to die and suffer was to absorb the wrath of God. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." The reason why God demands justice for sin is because we have violated our the mandate that was given to us all the way back when Adam and Eve sinned. Um, Piper here says, I like this quote, we have all loved other things more than God. This is what sin is, dishonoring God by preferring other things over Him and acting on those preferences. Since God is just, He does not sweep these crimes under the rug of the universe. So when Adam and Eve sinned, they chose to love other things and have desire to be like God, and that was in violation of what God had commanded them to do, which is be fruitful, multiply, and commune with me in the garden. And then furthermore, as the scriptures keep going, uh, God continually tells people, love and pursue me as your highest joy, and anything less than that is sinful. When you look at the Ten Commandments, the first five all have to do with, as the first four all have to do with God, and so when we have competing allegiances that try to take the place of God, we're violating that, and so a non-believer would fall under God's wrath as a result. So to absorb God's wrath, we need something uh, to satisfy that justice that God demands. And Galatians 3:13 says that Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. Uh, Romans 3:25 says, God put Christ forward as a propitiation by His blood to be received by faith. This was to show God's righteousness because in His divine forbearance He passed over former sins. So in order to satisfy God's wrath, He needs to be just. In order to do that, there needs to be an offering, a gift. And God freely gave that by sending His Son. The word propitiation, it's a big word, but it means that to properly signifies the removal of wrath by offering a gift. So in order to satisfy God's wrath, Christ came, died on the cross. He was the perfect gift for us in order to satisfy God's wrath. And I like how a medieval scholar once said it like this. His name is Anselm, and he wrote a book called Why God Became Man. What I like about it is he kind of explains that God had to satisfy the penalty. He's the one that's perfect and is only perfect, so he's the one that had to do it. But he had to come down as man and the second member of the Trinity. Um, and because man was the one that transgressed against God, therefore man had to be the one there had to be a debt settled. The only way that can happen is if God becomes man. And so to absorb the wrath of God and to satisfy that judgment, Jesus had to come as the God-man and satisfy that. And so the implications of that is that we can't trivialize God's love, but we can't downplay it, but we also can't downplay His wrath. Both walk hand in hand. His justice and His love walk hand in hand. And in order for one to be satisfied, He demonstrates that love and sends His Son to satisfy His justice. And uh, as 1 John 4:10 says, in this is love, not that we have loved God, but that He loved us and sent His Son to be the propitiation for our sins. There's that word again. He absorbed that wrath when He died on Calvary. He absorbed that punishment that we all rightly deserve. And when that happened, that's one of the first implications that happens when you read the scriptures. It became dark when He was being crucified, and so the first implication the first reason why Jesus came to die was to take that wrath that we were um, under as unbelievers. But as believers, we can rest now, knowing that we are not under God's wrath. We may be disciplined, but we are not under God's wrath anymore. We are under grace. So, see you guys tomorrow.